Hi, this is Joe Ziemba, the host of When Football Was Football here on the Sports History Network. Aside from my podcasting duties, I'm also a sports collector. And as such, I'm very pleased to share the exciting news that the Sports History Network has partnered with Rochester Sports Autographs, the largest JSA authenticated autograph distributor in the United States, where you can get deals on over 30,000 autograph sports collectibles. So as a collector, I was very pleased when I visited the site of Rochester Sports Autographs. The massive inventory is easy to search, carefully documented, and visually appealing. The options seem limitless, whether you're looking for an autographed baseball, signed football helmets, or basketball jerseys, among thousands of others. I found everything from a Babe Ruth autograph, a signed football by Dick Butkus, and an autographed Larry Bird basketball jersey. And as a collector, you'll be delighted with the very competitive pricing on JSA authenticated products. Made possible since RSA deals directly with athletes, so there's no extra markup, and the savings are passed on directly to the customer. Perhaps you're looking for an early gift for Mother's Day or Father's Day. Heck, who needs a holiday as an excuse to give a piece of sports history to your loved ones? Or how about yourself? Today seems like a great day to add to your own sports collection, right? RSA even has film, music, and other entertainment autographs on the site, so there's something for everyone. All orders from Rochester Sports Autographs are top quality and shipped to your door with top authentication and a money-back guarantee. And to make sure RSA knows that the Sports History Network sent you, we created a special link for you. All you need to do is head to shoprsa.com/SHN. That's shoprsa.com/SHN to get your own piece of sports history today.
Now it's time to take a sports break, a look at sports history on a daily basis. Hello, my friends of sports history. This is Darren Hayes of the Sports Jersey Dispatch podcast. Welcome once again to the Pig Pen, your place for all things great in sports history. And welcome to your sports break for this April 9th edition, as we are going to cover some of the greatest events and people associated with the date of April 9th in sports history. And boy, do we have a lot of them. We're going to talk about some Hall of Fame birthdays, some great events, and some things that really changed the course of history of sport in these North American society. But before we do, let's talk a little bit about our newsletter. Our newsletter comes out each and every day, 6:30 a.m. It's totally free to join. You can cancel at any time. Easy to sign up for. Go to the show notes of this very podcast or the top of pigskindispatch.com or jerseydispatch.com to become a subscriber and find out everything that we're going to be covering in sports history for that day. Now, let's go into some of the Hall of Famers that have birthdays this day. Now, Paul Arizin, he was born April 9th, 1928 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He is in the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame as a small forward. Now, Paul played ball as a Quantico star wearing number 11, and he later wore that number in the professional ranks for his hometown Philadelphia Warriors in the NBA. He was voted as the 1950 and 51 season's NBA Rookie of the Year, and Arizin aided the Warriors in winning an NBA championship in 1956. He was selected to the All-Pro team 4 different times, and he's a 4-time All-NBA selection. And as an NBA All-Star during his career, he was NBA scoring champion in 1952 and 1957. Now, sharing this birthday of April 9th, this gentleman was born in 1907 in Ottawa, Ontario, and he's Hockey Hall of Fame center Ebby Goodfellow. Goodfellow was a 3-time NHL All-Star and won the Hart Trophy for the 1939-1940 seasons. Now, Ebby's NHL career lasted for 14 seasons with the Detroit Red Wings from 1929 to 1944 as both a forward and a defenseman. Very talented guy, this Mr. Goodfellow was. Now, he helped the Red Wings win 3 Stanley Cups, back-to-back in 1935 and 36 and 36-37 season, and another one in the 1942-43 campaign. He was a captain of the Wings for 5 seasons, including winning the first Red Wings Most Valuable Player as a defenseman in 1939 and 1940. Now, Also, over on Pigskin Dispatch, we talk about some great Hall of Fame birthdays, and none is probably more important than the Hall of Famer Curly Lambeau in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He was born April 9th, 1898 in Green Bay, Wisconsin, the very town where he played and coached. Now, Curly, along with his friend, native George Whitney Calhoun, founded the Green Bay Packers in 1919, and Curly went on to serve as the team captain in the team's first year before becoming the player coach in 1920, the first when they went into the APFA NFL early years. 1921 is when they went into that. Now, he was a star player of the Packers for the 1920s, and Curly was the team's primarily a runner and passer. He was the main weapon for them, and accounting for 35 touchdowns in 77 games. That's almost every other game scoring a touchdown. Now, he won his only National Football League championship as a player during the 1929 season, and he was a coach from 1920 all the way to 1949, some 39 years, and he was rivaled only by George Halas with wins and longevity, and later on Bill Belichick, who's still going on and probably will set every record. Lambeau also coached 8 players who went on to be elected into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Other Football Hall of Fame birthdays celebrated. We have April 9th, 1871, Clearfield County, Pennsylvania. The great Penn Quakers fullback from 1894 to 1897, Jack Mines, was born. Now, Jack is credited with being one of the most influential in the game of innovators of football back in his era. The National Football Foundation states that Mines came up with the concept that kicking a stationary ball at the goalpost for points was a heck of a lot more accurate and easier than using the somewhat unpredictable drop kick approach. Now, historians tell us that Jack Mines converted the first kick from placement, a feat he often repeated during his illustrious career at Penn. When Mines was a starter at the Penn team, he was 55-1, losing only once, and that was to a strong Lafayette team by the score of 6-4 in the 1896 contest. The Penn teams of 1894-95 were the undefeated national champions, and Mines was the master of the game and actually played 5 positions at different points during his collegiate career. He often operated at guard, tackle, end, halfback, and fullback, as well as playing a lot of defense. And Jack Mines' collegiate football records are celebrated in the College Football Hall of Fame after his induction in 1962. Also sharing a birthday, same exact year, 1898, as Curly Lambeau. Fantastic end from Rutgers in the 1915 and 1918 seasons. Paul Robeson celebrates his day of birth. Robeson was a powerful contributor to the excellent record of Rutgers in that time frame, with 22-6-3 under the legendary coach G. Foster Sanford, according to footballfoundation.org. Paul had some fantastic plays that were made up, such as the 1915 contest against Rensselaer, when he recovered an opponent's fumble that set up a touchdown, giving them a victory. In 1917, he scored on a 40-yard and 37-yard pass plays against Fort Wadsworth. That same season against Syracuse, Robeson caught passes on 2 key plays, and on defense intercepted a pass. And one of Robeson's greatest games was in 1917 against Newport Naval Reserve, played on November 24th. Newport was undefeated and heavily favored because it had an all-star lineup of former college stars. Paul rose above all of these stars that day, shined brightest that day as he caught a touchdown pass and was outstanding on defense, leading Rutgers to a 14-0 victory. Now, Frank Menke named him an All-American 1917-1918. Walter Camp, for some reason, did not recognize him, but in 1917 agreed with Menke the next year and picked him onto the Walter Camp All-America team in 1918. The National Football Foundation recognized him, though, and selected Paul Robeson for entrance in the College Football Hall of Fame in 1995. Another birthday, April 9th, 1921 in Detroit, Michigan, was Vince Bananas Bonanos, the University of Detroit's Great Center from 1939 to 1941. We have quite a bit of information on him on our website, pigskindispatch.com, and know that he ended up going into College Football Hall of Fame in 1986, and he had a great 10-year pro career as 3 World Championships teams, first with the 1947 Chicago Cardinals and later with the 1952 and 53 Detroit Lions. Was Mr. Bananas. Now, April 9th, 1966, more of a contemporary player, standout defensive tackle from 1985 to 1988 of the Auburn Tigers, Tracy Rocker was born. Rocker was a dominant beast on the field as he earned the honor of the unanimous first-team All-American selection in 1988 and a consensus pick in 1987. He was All-Conference 3 times and became the first SEC player ever to win both the Outland Trophy and the Lombardi Award in the same season in 1988. He went into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2004 and played 3 seasons in the National Football League with the Washington Redskins, and after that he hung up the helmet and has been found coaching in defensive lines at some various places, and we celebrate him as well. Our friend Jay Daniels over at 80s Baseball has some birthdays that he wants to recognize as well. First of all, the great Peter Gammon celebrates a birthday on this date of April 9th. Kirk McCaskill, who won 106 games for the Angels and White Sox in the decade of the 80s, also recognized. Jose Guzman has a birthday this day. Hal Morris, Mike Brumley, and Brian Dorsett, who also played during the 1980s. Jay Daniel also brings up that on April 9th, 1981, there was a couple of debuts that took place. The Blue Jays had their draftee, George Bell, made his big league debut as a defensive replacement. And on that same day, Dave Henderson ended up getting into the batter's box and with the Angels, and finished 1981 with a batting average of 167, but he had a solid career, including a big home run in 1986. Also, on this date, 1981, on April 9th, Tom Brunowski went 1 for 4 with a single in his big league debut for the Angels, as they brought a lot of folks out that day. April 9th, 1985, Ozzie Guillen ends up making his debut with the White Sox, and Mariano Duncan made his debut with the Los Angeles Dodgers on that day. Now we have some great events happening also in baseball. April 9th, 1987, the Mason-Dixon battle, as the Baltimore defeated the Texas Rangers 8-6 in Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. Ken Dixon got the win, and Mike Mason got the loss. Not the Mason-Dixon that we were all expecting there. It was the players' names to give us that. Now, we also have some great stuff on JerseyDispatch.com as we try to cover each and every day of the year with some great history, and we have those from a variety of circumstances and resources. April 9th, 1931, the Chicago Blackhawks defenseman Cy Wentworth, that's the game winner against the Montreal Canadiens at 13:50 of the 6th period, as Chicago took the lead to take on that Stanley Cup Finals in that game. April 9th, 1959, Bill Sharman, number 21, drained an NBA record 56 consecutive foul shot as he and his Boston Celtics teammates captured the NBA title in a 4-game sweep over the Minneapolis Lakers, 118-113. April 9th, 1965, the first ever game is played at the Astrodome in Houston, as the Astros, in their new confines, defeated the visiting New York Yankees 2-1 in an exhibition game, as Mickey Mantle, number 7, hit the first unofficial Major League Baseball indoor home run. The NBA.com has a few great things to point out for April 9th, and we share them with you. Number 14, Bob Cousy, on this date in 1957 of the Celtics, assisted a then NBA Finals record 19 helpers in the Celtics 124-109 win over the St. Louis Hawks in Game 5. Magic Johnson, number 32, set the current NBA Finals record of 21 assists in Game 3 of the 1984 NBA Finals during the Los Angeles Lakers 137-104 win over Boston. But April 9th, 1958, number 9, Bob Pettit of those St. Louis Hawks made 19 free throws in his team's 102-100 Game 5 victory over the Boston Celtics the following year, and Pettit set an NBA Finals record for the most free throws in that one game. 1959, and 1 year later on April 9th, the Boston Celtics defeated the Minneapolis Lakers 118-113 in Minneapolis in Game 4 of the 1959 NBA Finals to complete the first sweep in finals history and capture the first of 8 consecutive National Basketball Association championships. Over in the hockey arena, we have some great things from Vintage Hockey Jerseys website. April 9th, 1942, the Detroit Red Wings outlasted the Toronto Maple Leafs by the score of 5-3 in Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals. The Wings were powered by the prowess of Eddie Bush, who set an NHL record for points by defenseman in a Stanley Cup Finals game with 5 points that game. It wasn't all rosy, but the Detroit club that year, though, as the Red Wings blew a 3-0 series lead in that Stanley Cup final to lose the Stanley Cup to Toronto. Now, Bush played in 26 career NHL games, scoring 4 goals and 10 points, and 12 playoff points, 7 points, but he never scored another point after his record night and played again in the NHL following the 1942 Stanley Cup collapse. Did have a great career in coaching and playing in the minors. April 9, 1946, the Montreal Canadiens defeated the Boston Bruins 6-3 in a 5th game of the finals to become the 1946 Stanley Cup champions. Number 16, Elmer Locke, led the way with a goal and added 2 assists in that game. April 9th, 1980, some hockey royalty here. Number 9, Gordie Howe scored his last career National Hockey League goal in an 8-4 Hartford Whalers loss at Montreal in Game 2 of the Stanley Cup preliminary round. Now, Gordie's final tally was his 68th career playoff goal. This game also marked the only time that all 3 NHL's Howe brothers scored a point in the same game, with Gordie and Marty Howe each with a goal and an assist, and Mark Howe adding 2 assists in that game. There's some tremendous football history on this day. April 9th, in 1880, not 1980, 1880, at Old Stoll Field in Kentucky, in what is considered to be the first football game of the SEC per SECsports.com. Kentucky A&M, which went on to become the University of Kentucky, organized a football team and played a 3-game series with the University of Transylvania in November of 1881. April 9th, 1945, the NFL required all players to wear long stockings, and ESPN tells a story that Commissioner Elmer Layden decided that NFL players must wear their socks all the way up on their lower legs, and it's truly an aesthetic thing, but I think that carried on into modern times, so a lot of times they don't want those calves to show for some reason. April 9th, 1997, the NFL announced it would give $3 million to the CFL and possibly a World Classic Bowl. The agreement was to lessen the hostilities of the CFL when the NFL would schedule games in Toronto to try to expand its reach. And on this date in 2015, Hall of Fame safety Troy Polamalu retired after 12 seasons with the Steelers for the NFL.com archives. Now that's just some great sports history all the way around. Some great players were talked about, some legendary games, some legendary feats of and events by these players. And we're sure glad that you joined us here for some more great sports history. You can join us each and every day as we talk about sports history by either reading on PigskinDispatch.com and JerseyDispatch.com, or by listening on one of our podcasts, the Sports Jersey Dispatch, of what you're listening to now, or the Pigskin Daily History Dispatch. All great events as well. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter, show notes of this very podcast, or on those 2 websites that we mentioned. So till tomorrow, everybody, have a great sports history day. This penalty kill is almost over. I got to get back out on the ice. But thanks again for joining us for another great edition of Sports Jersey Dispatch Podcast. We'll see you tomorrow. We invite you to check out our websites, JerseyDispatch.com and PigskinDispatch.com. Not only see the daily sports history, but to experience the preservation of great events and people that play the games. Find us on Pigskin Dispatch. It's also on social media outlets of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel. You get all your daily sports history. Pigskin Dispatch is happy to be associated with the Sports History Network, the sports headquarters of yesteryear, found at sportshistorynetwork.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hi, this is Joe Ziemba, the host of When Football Was Football, here on the Sports History Network. I'm very pleased to announce that I will be partnering with the Sports History Network to give away 2 copies of my latest book called Bears vs. Cardinals, the NFL's Oldest Rivalry. To enter, just head over to the following link, sportshistorynetwork.com/giveaways. We hope you'll enjoy the numerous stories in the book, which is largely based on the newly released Dutch Tournament collection at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Dutch was the co-owner of the early Chicago Bears with George Halas and kept correspondence, financial records, and scouting reports, which now allow us to peek into the management of an NFL club during the first few years of the league's existence. Along the way, we'll meet unusual gridiron characters from years gone by, including a quarterback who could throw the ball farther behind his back than he could throwing it forward, a Bears lineman who was such a good tavern fighter that he decided to enter the boxing universe, and a Cardinals halfback who gave up the NFL rushing title by deciding to not show up for his team's final game of the season. And can we forget the time the Al Capone mob interrupted a Bears-Cardinals game? The new book was fun to research, and I hope you will enter our free contest today. Once the winners are selected, we'll be in touch regarding shipping as well as to inscribe the book personally for you. This might make a perfect gift for Mother's or Father's Day, or simply add it to your own personal collection. Once again, enter by visiting sportshistorynetwork.com/giveaways. Thank you and good luck.